This Let's Talk About It.
Y'all.
This my sister.
Y'all.
Melanie.
Y'all.
On Let's Talk About It. Okay, so a little while ago we made this little video about, is it our responsibility to educate ignorant people on like racial topics or whatever. So this video we're going to talk about like how you can become like an ally for the Black community. So yesterday me and Melanie were talking about it, and then we were saying our own opinions, which are always stellar opinions, but we found this really interesting like bullet point list. One is real funny, one thing on the list, but we thought we'd go down the list and basically share what we think.
Bullet point number 1 is listen with an open mind and heart. There's a reason it's number 1, because people don't be doing that. It is for real irritating sometimes, because like people will say, oh, I want to have a conversation, and then like listen, like they'll be quiet while you're talking but they already have everything lined up for them to refute everything you're saying, which it's like, you're not here for the conversation, you're here to try and prove me wrong. And I'm like, why are we talking? Because like, if this is really about us coming together and trying to fix things, then why are you trying to argue me?
And I also think like if you're trying to be educated and like grow, you're going to be quick to listen and slow to speak. And a lot of times when people are not like that, like what you just said, like just here to argue.
And honestly, like, it's okay to not know everything.
That's true. It's
like,
okay to be wrong.
It is. It takes being humble, and it takes being open-minded and a willingness to learn and a willingness to be taught to actually fix the situation. You know, maybe we should talk about what an ally actually is in the first place, because they might not know.
We might not know.
So an ally is a person outside of a specific culture who has enough influence or is privileged enough to make a difference. Right. So a lot of times with the Black community, like I'll bring something up and I'll talk about a specific issue that the Black community is struggling in, or some things that we need to happen, like laws that need to be passed or whatever. But because of the color of my skin and the fact that African Americans have gone through so much in this country, people just automatically assume that I'm coming from a position of, oh, you're just coming from a victimhood mentality, like you don't, you're not seeing this soberly, not everyone's against you, like all of that, when really there are very serious things happening that need to be changed. And just because I'm Black and just because I experience this daily doesn't mean that I can't look at it from a sober viewpoint. But those same people who will label me label me as having a victim mentality will hear the same information from somebody who looks like them. And for instance, white people, Latinos, or whoever, they will hear the same information, and because they don't have a bet in the game, they don't have a reason to be offended, they are more likely to be heard, because they're like, wait a minute, you don't have a reason to care about this. Right. Maybe what you're talking about is real. Right. And it gets really frustrating because
I hear that
we be coming with facts, y'all, and just because it does affect our lives, should not discount us. So that is what an ally is. It's somebody from another culture who is seeing what's happening and is also fighting for the same things. So the next bullet point is be comfortable being uncomfortable.
To me, this is the biggest one that stood out.
The biggest one, because these conversations can get very intense.
Uncomfortable.
Very uncomfortable. And it's really uncomfortable to be told that you're wrong.
You might not have been the one, to be whipping the slaves, but I think we're just coming from whole people groups not treating another people group the right way, like human beings. And so I think when we're talking, to like we're just going to say specifically white people, or really any other people group who are just ignorant to Black culture, I think it's just hard because we're not calling you as an individual out. We're calling the system, the history out, and the system that you're still benefiting from.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're talking to.
It's an uncomfortable conversation.
Uncomfortable. It's all good.
There are going to be times where you will not relate. There are going to be times where we can't relate to you. There are going to be times where we are so fed up and upset that it's going to make you want to shut down the conversation and
vice versa.
But honestly, having the conversation open is one of the most important things, because if you can't talk, you can't fix it. So
if you can't talk, you can't fix it.
So let it be awkward.
Let it be awkward.
Be comfortable with the conversation being awkward.
And engage in the conversation.
Yes.
Even if it's not
Yes.
much. I know I say this like every video. The thing I hate most is when, you're talking to somebody and they're like, I don't have an opinion. Well, go get your behind opinion.
Point number 3 is take an inventory of your social circles and workplaces.
I know I said the last one was my favorite. This is my favorite.
So if you are not surrounded by people of color, you're not even gonna be able to come close to understanding.
You're not even gonna become close.
I remember when I lived in rural Michigan, it was like on the other side of the state from where I grew up. They were actually families there who had never had a Black person in their home before. And there were little girls who were actually afraid of me because they had never seen somebody as dark as I was. And I remember going to my friend's house, and her whole family was like, "Oh my gosh, you're the first Black person to ever be in our home." I'm like,
oh my goodness.
How? But in those communities, it can be really hard, especially because you don't have to deal with it every day. You don't see Black people every day.
Right.
But if you are interacting specifically in the church, I think that it's very important. It is very easy to live racially isolated lives.
Right.
And it's not okay. Sundays are the most segregated time, segregated time in the whole week in America. And it's because we don't mix our churches.
Yeah.
And the ones that do, it's very few and far between.
The ones that do are very intentional. You know that their number one thing is a diverse church.
Especially if you're in contact with African Americans on the daily, take the time to learn their background.
Invite them over to your house.
Exactly.
One thing I was thinking about, we were reading a book in my justice group, and we were talking about, go to Black churches, listen to their preaching, submit yourself to their leadership, immerse yourself. And
you ain't gonna die.
And I know that not everybody, some people are happy in their own little world, but obviously if you're watching this video, my guess is that you are curious on how to be an ally. Don't fight everything that people say. If the majority of people are saying something, don't just dismiss it because you don't personally see it. The odds are is that you personally are probably not around a lot of Black people. I think it's okay to be ignorant, but once your ignorance have been revealed, it's not okay to sit there. That's my thought. If you were raised to think a certain way, I totally understand that. But if there's some truth, or maybe another way to seeing something that a majority of people groups are saying, but you decide not to listen and you decide to explain to them how they're wrong, that's when you start falling into you just being stupid.
Next one is stop pretending to be colorblind. Not stop being colorblind, because if you ain't really got color blindness, quit claiming it.
I seen this episode. I could totally relate to this. I was watching This Is Us. The white dad and his Black son were playing on the golf course, and the dad was like, I don't see color. And the son was like, well, if you don't see color, you don't see me. I said, oh.
Personally, I have experience with this where I've been in a white community for a long time, and that's something I heard all of the time. Even when I didn't bring it up, be like, oh, don't worry, I don't see color.
I don't see the color.
I'm colorblind. It's fine.
I only see the soul.
And it's kind of one of those, I'm loving you in spite of your color. And it's like, wait a minute. hold on. It's like telling
she
a black
said
woman
it.
that she's beautiful for a dark skin girl.
Right, for a dark skin girl.
You're not actually colorblind. You see that my skin is melanated.
And you know what comes with it.
Exactly. And to say that I don't see color or that I'm colorblind is basically saying I refuse to see the beauty that's in your skin, and I also refuse to identify with you with the problems that you're facing.
Yeah,
And
you
because of your
separate
color.
yourself from that culture.
It's giving you an excuse to be like, oh, I don't actually have to enter into real messy life. It's literally stop.
you
please.
better stop.
No, but it is.
Yeah,
It's
you
giving
right.
you it's
You are
giving you
so
a pass because oh well I don't see color so I can't help you anyway.
So right.
I don't see color so what you're going through related to your blackness, I don't see it.
Right.
Like, and
Wow.
that's not okay. Speak out when you hear or see something problematic.
This is a really important thing. Like, and I think this is something that I'm in this season thinking about, is I understand that not everybody's heart is for like prison reform and
Yeah.
justice issues
Yeah.
and da 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 da. You know what I'm saying? We're not all at the rallies. Like, I understand that.
There are certain things that are going to burn on your heart more than other people's hearts.
Exactly.
Now, that's not an excuse to not see it and not do something about it. And this also ties back into what I was saying earlier. Like, as an African American, like, some people aren't going to hear me just because I'm African American
Right.
and they think that I'm just complaining and I'm loud and I don't.
Like you an
I'm
angry
not
black
grateful.
woman?
Like, I'm an angry black woman, or like.
See previous episode.
Or that I have like a victim mentality, all the things. So they're gonna write off, they're gonna knock me down at my knees
Right.
for any argument that I bring up regarding the subject just because of my skin color and the life
Right.
that I've lived. But if you see something and you say something, they're gonna listen to you. Something's going to happen. Listen, when I tell you things happen when white women call the manager, okay? Things happen.
And
I
they
have
also
seen it
happen when
personally.
white women called the police. But when black women called the police.
So basically, if you got Ebonics, you just might be screwed.
The end. So become an ally. Thanks for watching. This is Let's Talk About It. This is my sister. She brought the fire today, and I know. You know, like, share, subscribe, whatever you do with these videos to, you know, do the thing. And, you know, we'll see you next time. Bye.